Hi guys, I'm here to use up the yellow and grey paints that I had left over from the last page. And I'm working in my repurposed Cricut book, and I'm going to do a tip in to this page, which is basically an extra piece, an extra element, such as a pocket or a tag, something similar like that. So I'm just adhering it there before I apply the gesso with some masking tape on both sides. And now I'm just going to gesso the pages and the tag. And you just got to be very careful that you're going to have to hold the tag or the tip-in piece because if the wet paint touches the wet paint, it's going to stick and draw the page up. It's going to tear it. So I've just got to be mindful of that. So this was the yellow mix of paint that was left over from the last journal page, and I'm applying it to the page as well as the tip in. Yep, I'm a messy painter. I tend to get paint on all the pages in my books that I shouldn't. So I just try to be mindful of that and wipe it off when I can, when I remember. So this tag's still wet and I'm playing with death. I was lucky this time. And here comes the grey. So it will look fairly similar to the last journal page I did, but I do add more colour to it, which differentiates it from the prior page. Again, using circles. And I just grab any lid or um, any round object basically that I can find. Now, when I'm tracing these circles, I've got to realise that with the tip in, they're going to impede on the page. So you've got to be mindful of that when adding elements with a tip in. So I'm now taking some Winsor & Newton art masking fluid and going over the circles because I want to retain that background within those circles. But I go overboard and I tend to get impatient, and I try to do the opposite side under the tag, and then the tag flips over and it sticks to the opposite page and it peels off. So I had all sorts of problems with it. So my advice to you, if you're going to try this, one page at a time. And I'm just using a paintbrush, but you've got to be very mindful that, see, there it goes. I touched the opposite page with the tip in and I peeled off because this dries fairly quickly. Yeah, so I was saying the masking fluid dries fairly quickly and you'll see me grab little knobs of it, gunks pieces from the brush at times. So don't use a good brush for this purpose. Set aside a paintbrush just for this purpose. and don't leave your lid off the art masking fluid too long. It will dry up. So I'm taking some teal acrylic paint here and just swiping over my brush in a curvy motion. And I do a couple of coats, I think, because I want it more opaque. So now we're going to use some white. And you can see the yellow and grey colours beneath that white. So that's why I needed to add more layers of the white. And I just took a fan brush there and I dipped one side in the white and one side in the teal. And I turned them around so that the white was painted on the teal and the turquoise was painted on the white. Just sort of blends it a bit better. And it helps down the track when you turn the tip in over and trying to marry up the colours that you've applied. Now this is Pebeo iridescent green blue acrylic paint, and it's very transparent, so I do add a couple of layers of paint to that. I have so many different brushes on the go at the moment. They're all sitting around me, and I was so lucky that I didn't knock any of them flying. So here I forget the fan brush and I just use a straight edged brush, flat brush, but it all works. Alright, so that's done, dried, and then, oh no, I'm trying to get the white to be white and not so transparent. Make sure it's completely dry before you open up that tip in. I didn't bother too much, I don't think, about the middle white area because the teal and the green blue are going to sort of dominate it. So here I've dried it and I've turned that tag over and trying to line it all up. And you'll see I go over the other lines anyway. Still trying to feather the colours together, the white and the teal. Sort of brightens up the page a bit. Now I forgot to show that I just removed the art masking fluid and you just rub your finger over it and it peels off. I don't know why I didn't record that. So now I'm taking some lightweight cardstock. It doesn't really matter whether it's copy paper or what. And I'm now trying to make stencils so that I can stamp within them without affecting the background and the other circles. I get so confused with it. I ended up getting some kitchen paper and tracing them and then cutting them out with the tissue paper on top of the cardstock. It doesn't really matter that I don't have the circles in the same position because I end up covering them over with some other tissue paper, well, some other copy paper. So went a bit overboard. But it's done now, so there we go. Now I'm taking the Carabelle Studio Circle and Dots background stamp, inking it up with VersaFine Onyx black ink. And this is where I should have used Ranger Archival ink because this takes forever to dry. It's a pigment ink, so, but it's more vivid than my Ranger Jet Black Archival ink. So I'm just stamping in those circles that where I removed the masking tape, just to give them a bit more interest. And I forgot that the circle or the pattern had to line up. And I'm here trying to work with my stamp positioning tool and it ain't happening. And I ditch it in the end, I think. Yep, move on, Jen. Just stamp it. Be done with it. I'm not going to look that closely at it. Not the best, but it'll do. I'm just using that paper there to mask off the other areas so I don't stamp that background stamp anywhere but where I need it or where I want it. Yeah, I forgot I had that larger circle there. And I forgot to record taking the art masking fluid off. But anyway, done now. Right, now I take a Prussian blue. I love the Prussian blue colour in the Reeves wax, water-soluble wax pastels. And just going around and defining those circles, giving them some sort of dimension. Still trying to take care with that tip in, touching the opposite page. And I don't know whether you'll note, yeah, just there, the VersaFine ink wasn't dry, so it was blending with the crayon. Anyway, last page, last journal page I used these circle masks, and so I thought, why not? I've got the same colouring on the background that I used on this journal page. Why not use them instead of throwing them out? So that's what I did. They actually remind me of baseballs or tennis balls, but I didn't go that route with the title of the page. But anyway, just adhering them to the page with some Scotch Quick Dry adhesive that I have in my fine line applicator. Alright, all the circles are down, and I'm taking a dark grey water-soluble wax pastel and going around the edges with that, with those circles to give it some dimension. And I thought those wavy stripes would look really nice defined with the Prussian blue. So that's what I did, just along the wide top and bottom edges. Now that sort of set it off, I thought. And I'm just going around the edges of the page with the dark grey wax pastel for the border. So there we go. Now, I had no idea what to title this page. I was stumped. I didn't know what to put down there or whether to just leave it. So in the end, I thought I'd just use Lost in Translation because that's where I got. Once I'd done that, I had no idea where to go from here and what to put on the as a title. So, yep, Lost in Translation, and just using a black PITT Artist brush pen there to go over the lead pencil to write the quote. And I didn't like the look of that L up the top, so I just wiped it off with a wet baby wipe and redid it. So there we go. Thanks so much for joining me, guys, and I'll be back with another journal page soon. Bye.